Hi everyone, and welcome to Market Audience and Social Research, SPSS, workshop number 1. I'm Kelly Koff, and in today's workshop, I'll help you to get to know some of the features and functions of SPSS. The purpose of this tutorial really is to introduce you to the SPSS operating environment, and once we finish, you'll understand the data editor, the elements of the SPSS spreadsheet, the role of variables and cases, the main menu functions, and also how to use the SPSS help feature, which is online. Okay, so let's get started. If you've previously used SPSS, you may have it pinned to your taskbar already, in which case you'll find a little button just down the bottom here. If not, we'll find the program by going through the Start menu. So come over to Start, click on that, and then scroll down until you find IBM SPSS Statistics. So I have it in this folder here. Click that drop down and it's the first one there. I'm running IBM SPSS statistic number 26. You may be running 24, 25. It really doesn't matter. This tutorial will work anyway. Okay, so the first thing that you'll notice when SPSS opens, it opens with a welcome screen. In this screen, you find your most recently used files. This is an easy way to open a project that you've been working on. We're going to start from the beginning today though, so we'll close that down. And here we have an empty data editor. The first thing that I want to introduce you to today is the menu, just across the top here. So you see File, Edit, View, Data, Transform, Analyze, Graphs, Utilities, Extensions, Window, and Help. The first one I want you to click on is File. So when you click on that, you'll notice that some of the things are grayed out and some of them you can click on. Some areas are grayed out because we don't have any data in our data editor yet. Once we have some data, those functions will be available. So this File menu, this is where you'd go to create, open, save and read files. If we want to export the file, say to Excel, this is where we'd do that. And if you wanted to print something, you'd go down to print here. Okay, moving across to edit. Edit is where you'd modify or copy text. If you do something wrong, this is also where you'd undo or you'd redo some of those functions. So most of this is grayed out at the moment just because we don't have any data in our data editor. So we'll come across to View. View is where we change the characteristics of the window. So here we have our status bar, our toolbars and our menu editor. Coming across to Data. This is where we define variables and make global changes to our data file. So defining the variable properties, validation, sorting cases, merging files, these are things that we'll get to in the coming weeks. Then across we have Transform. Transform is the function that we change variables or create new variables in this tab. So we can recode into the same variable or recode into different variables from this tab. We have an exercise coming up on those. Preparing data for modeling and running pending transforms. Next we have Transform. So Transform is the function that we use to change variables and create new variables. So I'll do some of that later in the semester. Next we have Analyze. Now Analyze is the function that on the tab where we select the statistical procedure that we want. We'll spend a lot of time in here and we'll do a lot of exercises. So just take a moment just to familiarise yourself with what each of these drop downs do. And then the final one we'll have a look at here is graphs. So graphs is where we have the chart builder, graph board templates, and some legacy dialogues. Okay, so now we've had a look at the menu, I want you to have a look at the data editor. That's this screen here. So the data editor window is this empty spreadsheet, and this is where you'd put your marketing research project. So the columns in this spreadsheet all start with VAR, you'll see across the top here. That's because every column is for a separate variable. Okay, so now I want you to switch to the variable view. If you have a look at the variable view, this is where we see each case. So each case has its own numbered row, and each case would represent a single respondent. So it may help to understand the difference between these two tabs if we had some data. So let's bring some data into our fields. So I want you to go up to File, click on that and go to Open. Now head across to Data. Now I want you to find where you've saved the files from the LMS. I've saved it in a folder called SPSS MKT3 Market Research. And I want you to find MRE hobbitdata.sav. So you can double click on that, or you can click on that once and hit Open, whatever you prefer. And then our data is going to load. So here we have some responses, and if we click back to variable view, these are our questions here. Okay, so I just want you to take some time just to explore what you see in front of you. It might help just to extend out that so you can see the labels. So the name is the name of the variable. So this is each question has its own variable. What type of data it is, whether it's numeric, dollar, string variable, for example. The question that's been asked, the values, how respondents can answer the question. Just exploring what you can see there. And looking at the scale. Now if we change view to data view, this is where we have all of our data. So it can be difficult to make sense out of this, but if we look at something like LISRADIO, radio, respondent number 1 selected 1 for this question. So if we come back to our variable view, we find that this question was, would you describe yourself as one who listens to the radio? And here we have 1 is yes and 2 is no. So if this person chose 1, then they're choosing yes. So here we have all of our data coded into numbers. We need to code our data into numbers so that SPSS can analyse it, but it can make it quite difficult to understand when you're reading through it yourself. So a quick tip that I can give you for that is to just go to View, Value Labels, and click that there. Where it says Value Labels, make sure that's ticked, and then each respondent's response is shown in this view. So again, you can just change the size of these. So just pause now and have a play around with the data that you've got in front of you. So you might want to try some analysis. Go to Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, some frequencies, and scroll all the way down to age. This is one that I found there. So we're just clicking on age, clicking on this button to bring this variable across to one that we can analyze. Clicking on statistics, interested in the measures of central tendency there, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, the minimum, the maximum, the range. Hit continue. Now click on charts, and I want to have a look at a histogram. Then show that on a normal curve. Now I'm going to hit continue. Now I'm going to hit OK to see what SPSS does with that data. So straight away it gives me something that I can analyse. It says that there's 400 cases, so that means that we have 400 people that have answered our survey. There's no missing data, so everyone that was asked this question answered it. Our average age there, our mean is 45.4. The median age is 44 years, and the most frequent age there is 43 years. Our standard deviation is 9.5, with a range of 47. So that's calculated from the maximum age here of 65, taking the minimum age away of 28. So we've already got some data there on who's actually answered this survey. Then SPSS gives us an overview, if you scroll down, of the number of people of each age, the frequency, that have answered this survey. So that's interesting in the table, but I want to have a look at the histogram. And here we have a histogram showing the age of the respondents. So SPSS automatically puts over the mean, the standard deviation, and the number of respondents. And something we can do here is just click on the chart, right click, go to copy, and then we can paste that into a Word document or an Excel document. So I can bring our chart straight out. Something else that will be useful for you this semester is learning how to save this output file. So if you have a look at the top here, it says Output Document 1. And it's this output that you'll need to upload to the LMS. So go to File, Save As. Where it says Output 1, I want you to put your name, and then what tutorial it is. And then just save that file, and then that file will be there when you go to upload it for the LMS. So you can find it in that same folder that you've opened these files from. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you today just before we go is the online help. So just click on Help just up in your taskbar and go to Topics. So this is going to open the online help desk that IBM have set up for SPSS. So here you'll find online tutorials, you'll find some information on what we're doing, and there's a search bar up here. So if you were stuck on something like the types of variables, you could put that in the search button and see what comes up. So just click on variable types there. And here we have some definitions of different types of variables that we'll need. So again, just take some time to explore those features of the online IBM Knowledge Centre. So if you get stuck at all during the semester, this function is here to help you. The other thing that I'd really recommend is that you get hold of a textbook, which is SPSS Analysis Without Anguish. That can really help make these tutorials much simpler as well. If you need any more help with this tutorial, have a look on the LMS for the step-by-step guide or post a question on the forum. So have fun exploring SPSS, and until next week, goodbye.